Seems like most of you, if not all of you, prep and help other athletes, yet most of you, if not all of you, also have a coach of your own. Interested to just hear your take on what you see that benefit, knowing that you have knowledge of your own experiences, yet having a second look or having someone else help you.
What's up, guys? Ken Jackson. I work with Jon Dealrosa, and actually Shaun and I were talking about that. Like, I train like 20-something athletes and like probably 20, 30 other clients. So you gotta have knowledge, but the last thing I want to do is do my own prep. It's not that I don't know it, it's stressful. You know, I have to train all these athletes, and I have to train all my regular clients, and at the end of the day, you know, I want to answer to someone else. And not only that, I'm learning from him. I've learned so much from training with him for the last 2 years. So it continues my education, because obviously Jon is who he is. But at the same time, he controls everything I do, and I don't have to stress about controlling him, because, you know, he's obviously my coach, and he has a plan. You know, here's the plan. He emails me the plan, so I don't really have to think. Because when you're thinking constantly, like I have my training business, I got a food company business. You know, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. I still have to be a husband, I still have to be a father to my 2 kids. You know, it's a lot on my plate. So for me to answer to someone else to say, hey, I need you to eat this, I need you to eat that, I need you to do cardio, I need you to train like this. Here's your workouts for the month. It's a lot easier for me to do. It's not like I can't do it myself, but it's just, obviously it's more efficient that way. I can get more things done, and I don't have to sit down and think about what I actually have to do myself.
I also work with Jon. This is my second year working with Jon. I've been competing 10 years now, and for most of my 10 years I'm doing my own prep. But you're never too old to learn new things. The first couple of years I did my own thing, and I was always hard on myself, and I always felt like I needed to do more, do more, do more. Working with Jon this year, we do a lot less, but my body can progress a lot more. Like Ken said, we don't have to worry about, you know, our food, we don't have to worry about our training, because Jon provides that every single week for us. So being able to check in with someone every single week or every single day, having that stress off my back allows me to just prepare for the show, go to the week without the stress of, you know, do I look right, is this right, what are my carbs for today? Just a lot easier mentally and physically in our bodies.
Basically what they kind of said already, but another aspect is like when you get dieted and depleted, you start to see yourself not really how you are. You know, I mean, I know some people look at themselves like, do I don't know if I'm ready? And they take their shirt off, they're like, you kidding me? You're like transparent, look like you're deaf, you know? So I mean, the same thing, like, I've prepped myself before, but I've always asked Evan his opinion, and I'd be like, that's wrong this thing. Okay, we're good?
That's how it
works. So I mean, like, you know, there's always that aspect. People go, why is it making feedback? It's working. Okay, now we're good. But it's good to have a second eye, and even if you don't hire a coach, but having somebody you trust to be like, hey, you're on track, or you're not on track, or you might need to speed it up. Because, I mean, I've been prepped myself before, and I'm like, you know what? I don't feel shitty enough. And I start flicking soup potatoes out the window and I'm driving. And I'm like, I don't feel depleted enough. I think I feel worse. And that's like the worst mistake some people make, is they gotta be more shredded, they're more shredded. And all of a sudden they just burn themselves out, because it's human nature to always think more is better, and rarely that's ever the case.
So I mean, Jon pretty much, I'll send him progress pics, in his response, we gotta keep working harder. I never get a pat on the back from him. Like, even if I look great, you still gotta keep harder, we're almost there. And I'm like, how much more fucking are we there? I mean, seriously. You know, but that keeps me on my toes, it keeps me going. And like last year, I did 5 shows. It's the most shows I've ever done in my entire career. And I got better every show. So, and I was gonna squeeze out a 6th show, but I couldn't because I had a baby, so, well, my wife had a baby, so. And it was a great year, and every week, week in and week out, he was like, you just gotta keep pushing, you just gotta get a little bit better. So, I mean, that's, you can't buy, you can't buy good feedback. It's priceless. So if you got a person in your corner that knows his shit and is gonna tell you the truth, you should keep them in their corner.
So most of you guys work with some coaches that are some of the more revered or respected individuals in the industry, whether it's Chris Aceto, whether it's John Meadows, Oscar, whatever. Have any of you ever gotten shitty with your coach? Like you said, you know, I just can't take this, I don't got one in the tank. I'm interested to hear any personal stories, you know, where you kind of had to pull back and coach had to understand, or they told you tough shit, you gotta put the pedal out.
Anybody that works with Chris knows one of the secrets that he has for people like myself who are all in all the time, and there's nothing that'll be too hard, it doesn't matter, is he has to back you down. So there's times that Chris, I mean, the first time I worked with Chris, he sent me an email, he said, all right, today, train at 70%. So I called him, I said, what the hell does that mean? I can't even, I either don't go, or I'm gonna try to kill myself. So he said, well, how many sets are you gonna do today? And I said, 10. He goes, okay, do 7. Like, that was the only way to find that soft line, because a lot of guys don't realize, and that kind of goes back to prepping yourself. When you're getting, your body starts to look tired, oftentimes your brain will say, I gotta do something, I gotta go harder, I gotta do this. And Chris will go, take 2 days off the gym. Have 3 muffins today, it's a great day. Better immediately, you know, so those things play a role too, is being able to talk to you when you're on the other end of the spectrum. And I know when I called him about the 70%, right when I said it, he laughed and he goes, someone else did this to me once. I said, who? He goes, Evan didn't understand 70% also.
You know, that's so true. It's like when everybody goes too hard and someone tells you to back down, you don't understand it. I remember Chris said to me, he's like, I want you to, just do light cardio tomorrow. I'm like, well, what do you mean light cardio? Like, I like tearing it up. He's like, go walk around the mall. He's like, just take a leisure walk, 30 minutes around the mall.
Around the food court.
Okay. But on the opposite spectrum, for nationals, I had to cut weight, and, I had my flare-up of ulcerative colitis at the time. I didn't know what it was. So there's that end, and then I was doing no carb, no fat, 3 hours of cardio a day. And there was times where it's like, I would go, and be physically exhausted, fall asleep on the couch for 10 minutes, and then go. But I was like, I should have listened to myself, but I just kept pushing. Made the whole ulcerative colitis 10 times worse. But it's like, sometimes you gotta back off and not push. Push the body too hard, it pushes back.
I can speak on experience making it in both on points and qualifying last season with Chicago Pro. I think for me, I think making it on points kind of sucks as an athlete. I've been there, so you get on stage and you're already feeling like, man, I didn't really win a show. I don't really deserve to be here. That's exactly how, maybe everybody else here is different, but that's how I felt backstage. So you already felt like you really didn't have anything to offer that stage. Now, I've been watching bodybuilding for a long time. I've watched a lot of greats get up on that stage, so I kind of went in there defeated already. Last year, I placed 14th in my first year on points. This past year at the Olympia, I won a pro show, and I felt like I had something to offer that stage. I felt like I deserved to be there. I didn't place as good as I did the year before, but I felt validated getting on that stage. So for me, I both went in on points and on qualification. If I had to do it again, I'd probably wait, because after the Olympia the first year, I felt terrible. I didn't meet my expectations. I didn't feel like I deserved to be there, and it was just a bad experience overall. So,
I think the whole thing on points and winning a show is basically a psychological effect on the athlete. You get points, qualify, you have the doubt of, I didn't win the show. Can I beat the guys that won a show? Can I do this? The athletes might think, have the points, it's an opportunity for me to prove otherwise with the points, as Julian said, So it's the psychology of that. Then winning a show, confidence, I won a show, I'm going in there with other winners. We'll see in the shuffle if I could really create that impact. So it's both ways. I can either both ways, and again, either way, get up there. You can beat those guys that won the show. You can go up there with points. You know what? You're gonna peak differently. You're gonna look differently. Come in with a different assault. That's who it is. The opportunity, seize the moment, And again, you know, the shows can pass you by. You're gonna have life, injuries, anything can happen. An Olympia will go right by you, and you're gonna wish you had done it. You know, some Olympias, I had decisions made for me not to do them. I always say an athlete, decide on your own show. Don't let anybody decide what show you should ever do. If you feel it, do it. That's it.
The point scoring system has made it a lot more difficult to get on the Olympia stage as it was before. I believe there used to be the top three. People, if you was top three in a pro show, you would qualify for the Olympia just 6-7 years ago, until they came up with the point scoring system. And I say that because in my first rookie year, I qualified under points, and I didn't go to the Olympia. I wasn't feeling too good going into the show, so I decided to back out. And I kind of told myself, next year we'll do it all over again. We're going to get there. It took me about 4 more years after that. You know, so the point scoring system, if you really break it down, for you to be on the top of that list, it says that you do belong. And on the Olympia stage, when you base it on how the scoring was back in the days with the top three, it actually makes it a lot more difficult to get there. So given the opportunity on your points, by all means go for it and just bring your A game.
I definitely agree, especially with me and Shaun were just talking about this earlier. I learned that tomorrow isn't promised. You could get sick, you could die, you could get an injury. Like Victor said, if you have an opportunity at anything, if it's right in front of you, do it. You have nothing to lose. If your relationships with people are good, and finances are good, and you're healthy, do it. Like I said, what happens if you never get that chance again? You know, you only have one shot at life, and there's certain things you may never have again.
You know, given how long you've been riding this out for, with each prep, when it's time to flip that switch, is it actually the point now where it's just so automatic, it's almost a walk in the park? Or is it almost like, man, I'm old and tired, it's time to do this shit again? Does it get harder in a sense, or is it just progressively easier, or is it both?
No. It does take a few weeks to get back into the habit of everyday things, of getting up, doing your cardio, eating, At first, honestly, eating fish and rice is disgusting. But as the diet progresses, it becomes delicious. It's weird, it's a weird concept. So it's just like it used to be. I'm still learning at this late stage. I'm going into my 24th year of competing, and it's still a learning experience, I'm learning that I don't need as much time to diet. I don't need 16 weeks to prep for a show. I don't need to, have this huge off season where I try to bulk and put on all this size. I'm pretty much where I'm gonna be. I just need to work on refining and coming in condition. I can't change the structure of my body. I can't be reborn, and look like Flex Lewis. So I have to figure a way to beat him, which hasn't worked yet, but I'm doing my best, So yeah, it's probably a little easier for me to flip the switch because it's just, I'm kind of a caveman anyway. I don't live this, glamorous life of eating. I eat shit all day. I like whatever it be. My girl, babe, meatloaf, bring it,
Sandwich.
So now instead of, steak and cheese, it's like, tuna and rice. Bring me that, So that's the hardest part of my prep now is, come on, bring it over.
I've heard a few times like the idea of social media and kind of the impact of that. It's obviously the days of Dorian just kind of like disappearing in London is gone, and there's expectations from the fans for you guys as well to be active on social media. And I'm just curious, what does that look like for you as far as towing the line from giving your fans what they're looking for, but also social media just becoming a distraction for you?
That's the Hanshaw. No, I mean, social media is dangerous and a positive thing. I mean, if you look back, there's instant gratification in a lot of ways. And I'm going to get a little bit away from your question, but I think one thing that it's done is, number one, it's given life to people who haven't really done anything. so that they can pretend they have. I mean, I've trained with some social media icons and buried them quickly. I'm talking left the gym, they're done, it's done. And these people have huge followings and they're gods of training and this and that, and it can go too far in that direction. In some ways it's good. I mean, for someone like myself, I mean, like Evan said, everybody has a different career path. The reason I wouldn't do the Olympia, I'd get smoked. It's very simple. It's not about the point system, it's about an individual. But I've made a career before I was a pro using YouTube, social media, things like that, because it's identifiable, but it's also not fraudulent. I think that's where things get tricky, is a lot of people are complete frauds in what they're putting out there and what they say they're doing, and it's not the way. I mean, same thing with sponsors. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that we all have a choice when we're sponsored, what we're gonna do. I've told every company, I'll tell people what I use that I use. If you hand me a bottle, I'm not gonna tell people it's great. If it isn't, it's not my deal. I gotta go home, look in the mirror. So if you're cool with that, write the check, let's do this. If not, no thanks. You know, and a lot of people do anything to get the dollar, so they'll say anything, and that's where things get thrown off. I mean, I definitely miss the Dorian days. It'd be great to disappear and just train, and as an individual, it sucks. I have to bring someone to the gym sometimes and hand them my phone and say, I'm too busy training, I'm not gonna stop and take a picture. So if you could snap a few, I'll pay you 20 bucks to come to the gym with me. Like, that's how some of us have to do it. You know, I'm not going to hand it to my partner. I need him. We're working, you know?
I'm not a pro bodybuilder, but none of this would be happening if it wasn't for social media. None of you people would know who I am. I would have never been able to get these guys together. So a lot of people want to run around and talk about how bad social media is for everything. That's bad people using social media for bad things. There's good people also that are trying to put out a message, like myself and David, he left the room. But none of this would be happening if it wasn't for social media. I would have never been able to meet these guys, and I'm personally living a dream right now because of social media. I'm not gonna get rich off this, I'm not making any money, but I get to train with Dusty today, somebody I've wanted to train for years. I got to meet Evan. I've looked up to this guy since before he did junior nationals. I knew who Evan Senapani was. Jose, Chris is my buddy now, we talk. Me and John had dinner together. So there is a lot of positive that can come out of social media if you use it for that. You can make a living from it if you're not fake and fraudulent like these guys said, because people see through that and then they're not gonna follow you anymore. But there is a lot of good that can be done, man. I've raised money to help families. I've raised money, Dom's dad, we raised money for his parents' house burned down. I mean, there's been a lot of good things that have happened out of this, and none of you would be here today if it wasn't for it. So don't look at it like it's the devil. Look at it and say, what good can I do with this tool that I have?
I personally don't like social media.
There it is.
I've never, like...
He doesn't like anything, though.
Yeah, I was kind of forced into it. I used to have a flip-top phone. I was happy with my flip-top phone. And then when people were like, dude, you check your email, I'm like, I can't. And then I got forced into a flat-top phone, and here I am playing with it all the time. And then I didn't even have an Instagram page. And it was funny, is that Lex used to run my Instagram page, and Universal calls me, they're like, hey, like, you know, you into social media? And I'm like, that's Instagram, I think. I'm like, yeah, I got an Instagram page. And they're like, oh, what's it called? I'm like, oh, shit. Texting her, like, I think it's I Have Brokers Tuttle. I'm like, oh, do you post on it a lot? I'm like, yeah. I had like 100 followers. I don't like it. I personally think it's annoying. I'd rather just train and not worry about it. I mean, it's a part of your contract to be, to be active, and it's fun. And like Adam said, there's a lot of positive things that do come with it, but it can become like, people become obsessed with it.
Take some money out.
And yeah, and it just, I don't know.
I think it's a good and bad thing. It's a good thing because it brings people, like everybody here together. It can help people out in need. You know, it did for my family when they needed it. And it just keeps everybody in contact. Like I said, there would be people, most of us would not even be talking here, not able to connect. But on the other side of it, like Dusty was talking about the social media celebrities, they're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars just to throw weights around on YouTube and Instagram, and for what? But then meanwhile you have bodybuilders and true competitors who are stepping on stage actually doing something with their physique, and they're getting nothing. So back in the day...
Or they're not getting paid much.
Or they're not getting paid much. Yeah. Or they're not getting paid much, so what are the competitors left with? You know, back in the day the contracts were bigger, at least I think they were. there was more contracts, but today there's like nothing left. And it's just, it's, yeah, affiliates, ambassadors, yeah. You get supplements, but
listen, all these guys sitting in front of you guys are competitors. They want to win. They want to train hard. Like, we want to train hard. And when you have a supplement company say, how many followers you got? What? Like, not our merit, not the fact that for my second year I placed third and fifth in the show and top 10 in 5 shows I did, but hey, you don't have 50,000 followers. That's disheartening, especially because every single person that's sitting in front of you, like, blood, sweat, and tears, you know? Like, and I don't care, I'm not feeling sorry for myself, but dude, I get insomnia 6 weeks after the show, I don't sleep. I'm at 2:30 in the morning doing my cardio, like trying to get it done. And so it's a slap in our face when Joe Schmo has 100,000 followers but never places. I mean, that just doesn't sit well with me. I don't, or doesn't, yeah, exactly, it's never even been on a stage. So I think it's probably disheartening for all these guys sitting up here, you know, to see that. And I think that the industry needs to go the opposite route, and it doesn't look like it, you know, but we all have to deal with it because we love the sport. And Adam's right, like this couldn't happen if we didn't have social media, so it's all good, but then, you know, it's the bad with the good.
Well, hopefully in 10 years we're on TV. That's what I'm hoping for, but unfortunately I don't see that happening anytime soon. And again, social media, you know, it shows a lot, it says a lot, and not everybody needs to know everything. And unfortunately, you know, the athletes in this industry we're kind of closed in, and it's hard to kind of get out. But he's actually very right. The categories underneath, you know, the bodybuilding. When I got into this, it was just bodybuilding, masters. That's all it was. So my incentive was always to get better, stronger, bigger, and just keep pushing forward until I was able. Because when I started this, I probably would have done very well as men's physique, you know. But I never had to stop to think about that because I've always focused on progressing to hurry up and catch up to, you know, my peers and whatnot. And so on that aspect, I think the more attainable look, or, you know, the easier, I'm not going to say that, I take that back. Not so much the easier route, but, you know, obviously, you know, that category of bodybuilding, you don't have to worry about progressing as much. So downsizing or staying in that category is probably going to be a lot easier, more mainstream, more attainable to the public, and that's kind of what's going to wind up taking over. I mean, I pray that it doesn't, but it kind of looks like it's going that route.
I agree with you 100%. That's because mediocrity is the majority.
It's a society.
Okay, but none of us, when we were kids, looked up and saw a mediocre physique and saw Aquaman and said, I want to look like that. You know? We looked at He-Man, the Incredible Hulk, and said, that's what I want to look like. So we all trained to look like the Incredible Hulk. So you can be Aquaman all you want. I'm going to be He-Man. And we're going to have fans come to pay to see us. You know, and as Bethany said, you know, there's a circus for a reason. I've touched on that before. People pay to see the bearded lady. You know, they don't want to see just average, you know. None of us, even you men's physique guys, don't say you train to be mediocre. You don't train to be nice and slim and long. And you want to be jacked, and you end up looking like a physique guy. You know? So, and good on you, good for you, and I'm glad. But, you know, at the end of the day, we all want to be jacked, and only a few of us can be. So, you know, in 10 years, there's still going to be a fan base for the freak shows. It's never going to be mainstream. It's never going to be on TV. It's never going to be, it's going to be what it is today. A bunch of us sit in a room like, yeah, bunch of cavemen, you know, we love being jacked. You know, that's about as far as it goes. Even social media is not going to make it better. getting Jay Cutler on the Tonight Show is not going to make it better. There's nothing, because we never trained to be average. We don't train to be mainstream. We want to be extreme, and that's what bodybuilding is. I don't care if it's ever mainstream, because I love it the way it is. And I never did it I don't train to be like everyone else. I don't want to look like anyone else. I want to be a complete idiot. I want to look, we go out to dinner and my girl gets pissed because people are staring at me. I'm like, I don't even notice it anymore. I'm like, what do you think I trained for? I want them to look at me. She gets pissed. But let's enjoy being different from everyone else and embrace it. I want to be a freak forever.
I think the big thing I wanted to touch on when you asked where it's going to be, and I think everyone in this room, either side of the table, can agree with this, is it doesn't matter. I didn't get into bodybuilding to make millions of dollars, to run a career. Like, if the sponsors went away tomorrow, I wouldn't stop bodybuilding. This is what I want to do. This is what I love to do. This is a physique that I want to look like. It doesn't, like Evan said earlier, I don't do anything because someone else decides that's how it should be. This is what I chose to do. It's what I want. And when people ask me sometimes, when are you going to retire? When it's not fun, then I'll be done. When I don't want to do it anymore. And I think that's the big key, is everyone gets too worried about, I don't even care what's happening with physique, men's physique, different divisions. It's not what I do. I'm not interested in it. For me personally, no disrespect to them, but it doesn't matter. If it gets smaller, I'll still do it. If it gets bigger, I'll still do it. Millions of dollars, I'll still do it. No money, I'll still do it. And I think that that's kind of the big thing. You guys all do it and pay to do it. You're spending money to do this. It's obviously about you. It's not about anybody else. So keep that in mind. Things take care of itself. And at the end of the day, just go to the Arnold and see where the physique show is at and how many people are watching, and then go to the finals for the men. It still plays out the exact same way. Who everybody's going there to see.